How would you like to make your first million? And today we have a serial entrepreneur joining us from Australia. His name is James Wellington, and he's the CEO and founder of the Amala Group. So, James, tell us, what are the 5 steps to make your first million?
Welcome to
Awesome.
Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me on today, Harry. So I think it's very fundamental to actually focus on simplicity when starting a business. A lot of people really focus on, their passion. Now, again, I love passion for a purpose. That's the core of our business, building businesses that profit for a purpose. But when starting in a business, I always like to look towards traditional, models. So things like the stock market. So when we talk about the stock market, we generally look at quite often 5 things when you're actually looking at it. So market capitalization. So is there actually a place in the market for your business? So that's number one. So what's the market cap? If I was to start a business today, what would be the capitalization of me entering that business? Then what would it take for me, number two, for market penetration? So when you're actually starting to penetrate into a market, do you have a red ocean, a blue ocean, or a green ocean? So capitalization, market penetration. Number three would start to be one thing that not a lot of people speak about, but market optimization. Rather than trying to, create a brand new business or model, how can you optimize an existing market? So actually optimization of a marketplace. Number four would then start to be market monopolization. So how can I start to monopolize the market that I'm in to start to bring more people into that, I guess, ecosystem, to have more people speaking about what I do, start to attach myself to other businesses, brands, assets, collaborative partnerships. And then the next thing I would say would be market acceleration. How can I begin to grow the market from that perspective of, how do I get into this market and then push this market to be more relevant and more prevalent? I say this because, the main thing that I focus on is, I guess, attaching to traditional trends, working out how businesses can grow, and then looking at a marketplace with my head and my heart versus just saying, I'm super passionate for this business, where I think a lot of people make the mistake is that, your passions need to turn into profits, but you need to actually have a profitable business to begin with. So hopefully that answers it very quickly, Harry, in a quick 5 steps to, how to start $1 million business. But I have created eight businesses to $1 million and 2 businesses to 8 figures. So I sort of know my way around, as you said, serial entrepreneurship. So that's my rapid fire quick 5.
Yeah, but James, look, if you're in Australia, the weather is good, you have an amazing beach there, you already make one multi-million pound business. Why you don't go to the beach? Why you don't rest? Why you don't travel the world and then you go and you go in business again? It's already a challenge to create a multi-million pound business, and now you have done it several times again and again and again. So, um, why you do that?
Why do I do that? So it actually stems back to the meaning of the word Amala. So in 2006, I lost my mum due to breast cancer, unfortunately.
Oh,
So
I'm
when I was
sorry to
14
hear.
years of age, and the name Amala is actually named after her. It has a really, really great meaning that means something a lot more to me than just the dollars and cents. And so my mum's name was Amanda Lani, and Amala is actually named after her. And I'm half Italian. For those of you listening, Harry will be able to testify to this. I don't look anything Italian, but no, I'm half Italian, and Amala, Amala. So Amala is acronym from Amanda Lani, and it actually means to love and to love her in Italian. It means
Wow.
beacon of wisdom and hope in Arabic and Hindu. So
Mhm.
the Amala group itself is, for me, a beacon of light, a wisdom and hope towards the masses to create, generational
It's a
change in this
circle of
world.
love, right?
Yeah, it's
Really
I'm
powerful, eh?
not just driven by money or finances. I'm driven by purpose, and that's why I mentioned, when starting a business, it's completely different to growing a business. Starting a business, you do need to get profits off the ground. You do need to get to that $1 million so you can have impact. I think too many people get into business for freedom, but the honest truth is there's a lot of other ways to become financially free than to just do business. But if you're in business to generally have impact and create generational change for yourself and others, that's where you start to see these multi-million dollar business concepts. I've spoken to multiple eight, nine-figure entrepreneurs, quite a handful of billionaires as well. And not a single billionaire has said to me, wow, I started business to make money. They're like, I started business because I saw a gap in the marketplace. I started this business because I saw an opportunity. I grew this business to billions of dollars because I realized that we could actually genuinely have change here. Because, for me, I love the concept of helping others. I love the concept of working with high level people, but also too, I love the concept of change. So yeah, the beach is lovely. Don't get me wrong, Harry. I go there pretty much once a week with my partner. She would love me to go there more often, but for me, it's about impact and purpose.
Yeah, and I think I remember the first time at the beginning when I started the business, I'm like, I want to make a million, I want to make a million, I want to make a million. The day that I make it, even I didn't even notice that the accountant told me. And then I say, I
Yeah.
go to the beach, yeah. And after 2 weeks, I'm bored. And
Yeah.
then you go back to work. You know what I mean? It's no. Sometimes we have this mindset, but in the end of the day, if this is what we love to be in business and to create change, this is who we are. So then, James, the other, but let's talk about this. Do you have any entrepreneurs in your family, or do you read any book, or what give you this inspiration? I know that all of us is in our genes somehow, and
For sure.
is not inherited from father or whatever. Do you have people in this podcast? We already interviewed over 500 millionaires, and you have people that they have family entrepreneurs. Some of them have none. So it's not something that it comes from your environment. This gene is there, but something spark that. In your case, something you said, okay, I'm going for it. So what was your main issue, your main spark? You were talking about your mom, but do you have a
Yep.
business before? It was that moment that was crucial for you. What really happened?
So I'll go back to childhood. So my grandfather's a very successful property developer. He's actually
Wow,
an immigrant. He's actually an immigrant from Italy. So obviously migrated from Italy.
that's why you
He's
have
90,
family from Italy, yeah.
94 years of age. He grew up in a little town called Trieste, just outside of Ronchi, where he grew up. So he grew up in Trieste and Ronchi. If anyone's familiar with that, it's quite near Venice, sort of that
Yeah,
sort of
yeah, yeah.
area.
I know about
And
it. Yeah.
I remember, when I was younger, it would have been like, really, really young. I remember seeing the influence in which my grandfather had while my mum was going through, chemotherapy. I remember a circumstance where it was after my mum actually died, and the local town in which he lives in Australia, which is a little town called Foster, New South Wales, which is where I grew up. They were looking for a donation for a surf lifesaving club boat to basically go and save people's lives. And one of my first instances of realizing success and money can genuinely change lives outside of that of yourself was this circumstance. So my mum had just passed. Unfortunately, no amount of money could stop her from, passing from cancer. So for my grandfather, it was that feeling of, I guess failure, or feeling of like, I worked all my life to be able to protect my family and I couldn't save my only daughter. However, I remember the surf life saving come. They came to our house and said, "Would you like to buy a raffle ticket?" So raffles over here in Australia, that's how they raise money. And my grandfather must have said yes, but then he didn't tell me or didn't tell my nan what he said yes to. So then next, about a month or two later, we get invited to the opening of the Surf Life Saving Club. And this story makes me emotional. I've never said this on a podcast, by the way,
Oh,
Harry. It's a
thank
very
you.
personal story. But I remember, watching my grandfather. They're like, Nino, his name's Nino Lani. Nino, come to the Surf Life Saving Club. I'd love for you to celebrate, the opening of the Amanda Lani. And I said, what?
Wow.
And my nan said, what? The opening of the Amanda Lani. And Nan's like, what have you done, Nino? He didn't tell his soul, didn't tell anybody. And he basically went to the Surf Life Saving Club and he said, how much for one of the boats? I'll buy one myself and give you money for the second. So he bought a boat for the Surf Life Saving Club and said, although I couldn't save my daughter, if this donation of this boat could save one person's life, I've honored her. So in
Wow,
that
that's really
moment,
powerful.
it sparked this feeling inside of me that, they say money doesn't buy happiness, but money gives you choices for those within your life as well as others. So I realized my entrepreneurial journey had to begin for me to be able to have impact in my own life, but also pass that on. Because although at 14 years of age, I had nothing I could do to save my mum, I could then dedicate my life towards helping, motivating, inspiring, and changing others to help transform and change their life. So my entrepreneurial journey started in that moment, realizing that, hey, I'm a kid right now, but moving forward, I'm here to change the world. And there was a spark enlightened within me that I realized that the more money I make, the more impact that I can have. And again, Harry, I can't just have impact if I'm making $1 million. I can have impact on my bank account. I can buy some nice clothes, some watches, a nice house and a car, all those fun things that you get when you do your first million. But for me to have real change in this world and impact, I need to make billions. And so that's why my
Absolutely.
focus is.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
so definitely grew up in entrepreneurship, and I thank my grandfather. Would ever hear this, but I thank him every
I'm
single
sure
day.
we'll be very proud of you. Absolutely. Yeah. And I want to congratulate you for embracing it in this way because and my second question is where do you find the courage? Because unfortunately most of the people that deal with this situation, it's very easy to start to do drugs, to drink alcohol, to lose yourself into the pain because it's very painful, right? This
Yeah.
process. My cousin lost his dad, and he was telling me, Harry, it's like they cut a piece of you. Uh, this
Mm.
is this is how can I describe it? I don't have any way to describe. This is what happened. So I haven't experienced this, so I don't know. But this is what he told me. So the whole experience um, have been really difficult and painful for you. And so, where do you find the courage to find strength
So
and turning to a positive side when it's like I said, it's a difficult one because it's very easy to go to drugs, to do alcohol, to lose yourself into the pain. So, where do you find the courage?
So one thing I will say is that, the person you see here today is not the complete product of the person in which I once were. So, I did go through things. I did go through heartaches. I did go through moments of searching, drugs and alcohol, those things that you don't want your children to do. And I did go through a self-destructive pattern. Um, Thankfully, one day, I was born a Catholic. I'm a devout Christian believer now. So I'm a man of God. I have a strong faith. Jesus is king in my eyes and God is our God. And then, I'm a faith-driven man. But for many years, I went through that questioning of why. Why would God take the person that I loved more than anybody in this world? Anybody in this world? And I went through that self-discovery moment of trying to find myself, and then I engulfed myself into personal development. So I've studied neuro-linguistic programming. I've done my master's twice, Tony Robbins Medalist. I've done spiral dynamics, human psychology, sport and performance psychology. If you want to know the human brain, there's not much I haven't really studied in relation to the emotional intelligence and the connection between the neural synapses between NLP, that our words have the power in order to change. I love Anthony Robbins. I work alongside Dr. Joe Vitale, Brian Tracy. We work alongside some amazing thought leaders.
I
So
love
I
Brian Tracy.
engulfed,
Amazing.
yeah. Brian's a personal friend of mine and mentor. We actually run the sales
Wow.
agency.
My
So
girlfriend's a big fan.
yeah, we run his sales and marketing agency for his publishing company. So the truth is, I engulfed myself in self-discovery. So after losing my mum, I realized, in order to understand others, I need to first understand myself. And I went through the self-discovery phase. And my cousin, when I was 23 years of age, handed me a book. It's a very small book, and if anyone hasn't read this, it questions a lot. And it's by Viktor Frankl. It's called Man's Search for Meaning. And there's a statement inside of that book, and it says, "To live is to suffer, to survive is to find meaning in the suffering." And I remember reading this book, and he was in a concentration camp in Auschwitz. And I remember sitting there and looking at myself, and I'm like, how can a man with nothing to live for have more purpose and passion than me, that a child that is grieving? And I questioned my own self, and I questioned my own reality, and I questioned sitting there saying to myself, if a man can overcome all of this, who am I to not overcome what it is that I've been through when my life is nowhere near as hard as what this man's experiencing? He lost everything, his wife, his children, every, lineage of family during Auschwitz. And I remember sitting there in that moment, and it just put me on this this track to just go and discover myself. And then fortunately, through, personal development, it led me to spiritual development. Again, Dr. Joe Vitale, thank you. The secret, spiritual development. And eventually I went full circle and completely came back to God, my Father, and give my life to God. It's that was recently. My partner Bernadette lost her father last year to a heart attack, and I remember experiencing in that moment her sitting there going, how can I support her? It was a sudden thing. She's crying, and I remember this as a 14-year-old kid, and I was like, God, I give you my life because I want you to help me to protect the person I love. And so faith is a big guide for me. There's nothing to fear in business, and I say this to people. They're like, "Do you not find business hard?" I said, hard was watching your mum die. Business is a walk in the park. People
Absolutely.
have fear. They get
Absolutely.
too engulfed in the only thing that holds us back in business is fear, and it's fear of failure because we're fearing the judgment that if we fail, we are inadequate. But if you don't attempt or you don't fail forward, you will never receive the brilliance of what the universe has given to us. Like a vision is a forward focus. And I think if you focus forward in business versus being a reflection of tradition of the past, that's how you don't have to have fear in business. So hopefully that answers that question, Harry, in a detailed
Oh
way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And what you're describing, what you're talking is right into the main purpose why we do this podcast. Because James, we want all the entrepreneurs out there to be wealthy, to be happy, and to be healthy. But is challenging sometimes because again, you see this emotional pain that you have if you don't start to do personal development, NLP, go to church, or find a way of you to release or work on that emotional pain, this can become a physical pain, and you can end up with a heart attack. You can end up overweight. It can produce a significant effect to your body. And how many millionaires you hear about that they die for a heart attack, or they are overweight, or their health is not doing well. So so your story is very inspiring, I have to say. Like someone experiencing pain that I can even imagine, manage to sometimes I say the worst day in your life become the best day in your life, fortunately. But you can turn the situation around. You can deal with this emotional pain and do something positive out there for others. I'm not sure your mom would be very proud to see what you're doing, what you can help accomplish, and the amount of people that you can help. Because don't get me wrong, if you want to help a lot of people, you have to become really wealthy. Otherwise, I tell somebody in my conference, somebody come to me once, told me, Harry, I just want to help as most people as possible. I said, look, if you don't become really wealthy, you won't be able to help anybody. And this
Yeah.
is the truth. It doesn't matter that you have the purpose. In order to make change, you need resources. You need um, to fast create frameworks to create this positive impact. So, what message do you have, James, for people? I'm glad that you touched that entrepreneurs that they are suffering in their own little thing, like exactly I say they have a restaurant, for example, and they working Monday to Sunday, and they going to work every single day. Now they are upset, they're tired, they're in bad mood, they don't want to hire a coach, they don't want to hire a mentor. They might think that they can have all the solution themselves, but at the end of the day, they they are stuck there. They maybe need someone with experience like you, like that. Then listen, this business in this form is not working. You do have to stop it and repurpose what you're doing, because now you're not spending time with your family, you're not spending time with your friends, spending time with the people that you love. You don't even know how valuable is that. And on top of that, you're becoming so stressed out, you're overweight, and it's about to give you a heart attack, and then your family won't have you. But still, they are inside this rat race circle trying to make that business work. And exactly as you described, is you think that this is that you're running challenging. Well, uh, like you said, challenges to lose your mom, to lose your family. So, what message do you have for those entrepreneurs out there that they just don't know any better, but they are trapped in this rat race and they don't find a way out?
For sure. I think the biggest thing to ask yourself is, are you building the business based upon purpose, or are you building your business based upon significance? The humility of the character of the individual that the future version of you wants to become, or the future version of you that you've been shown, is generally the thing in which you need to develop. The character of humility. I know from being a 7 and 8 figure entrepreneur myself, the character of being that person is not the multi-million dollar, billion-dollar James. I know that the 9 figure version of me, or the billion-dollar version of me, does not action or act like the 7 or 8 figure or even 6 figure version of me. And the reason why I say that is because you must be clear on why you're doing something versus what you're doing it or how you're doing it. The why is the most important intention. A lot of people create a business for freedom, and a lot of you listening today, like your first $1 million will not give you freedom, but your first $1 million will give you proof of concept. Unless
Hmm.
it's a one-man band, and you decide that, and that's okay. But don't think you have to go from 6 to 7 figures and then go and hire a bunch of people. This is from someone that our digital marketing school went from a team of 4 to a team of 72, and we were
Wow,
doing over. Yeah,
wow,
so
it's a big
um,
operation.
yeah, and I still call myself a small to medium sized business, and then we actually scaled that business down and then went again and increased profitability. And now we're on a scale with our new call center. So we have a call center in the Philippines that we work alongside a lot of different businesses. The projected scale for that is 300 employees in the next 18 months.
Oh
Now,
my God.
I say this because it's not from a perspective of egoic agenda of look how many employees I have. It's a place of looking at, in order for me to have leverage and impact, more importantly, I will need to hire staff because I can't do everything on my own. But in the past, I would sit there and do it from a place of significance. Look at how many people I hire. Look how big my company is. And that's the mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs can make. Also, too, you can get stuck in product development. My product's the best product in the world. You know who tells you that your product's the best product in the world? I'm
The
gonna drop a
clients.
bombshell, everyone. Your clients, your customers,
Exactly,
your
absolutely.
customers. And the easiest way to see that is people buying. And I feel bad for anyone that thinks that one day you will break through doing the same thing. Einstein's theory of madness, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's like business. So if I can really summarize all of this, it's to connect to why you want to do this. And if you have a family or you have children right now and you're wanting more time with them, but spending more time on your business in the hope that one day you'll have more time with them, put the phone down, put the laptop down, and go and spend more time with them. Business can wait. Go and be
100%.
present in those moments. Go and be with them. Don't miss those moments. And guess what? They don't care if you have $1 million or $100. They still love you as their
Absolutely.
parent.
Absolutely. And it's exactly that, James. It's in this uh it's in this moment that as an entrepreneurs we want to realize what we're actually doing this. And don't get me wrong, yeah. We all of us entrepreneurs is part they come with our genes. We do have ego because we all think that we can do better. So it would be it would be it won't be accurate to say that the entrepreneur don't have ego because this is part of our DNA. However, um, when you are running the business for this position that is all about you from a place of significance, you're making the whole business about you. This is when the suffering comes and it's hard and it's painful and it can destroy your marriage, can destroy your family, can destroy anything around you. It becomes really a really negative position to be. I remember when I started my own business, I was wearing all the hat and didn't trust anybody. It was a property business. We managed to sell over 5 million and I didn't trust anybody, and I don't want to employ anyone. I said, what if I give a key to my employees and they steal a computer from my tenants? So I don't trust anybody. And from that space, and I decide what I do in this business, nobody else. But I was exhausted. It was
Yeah.
after a couple of years, I'm so tired I'm so caught in all these negative emotions. You see, the client want to pay you very little because you're starting, nobody trusts you. The supplier want to charge you more. You know, the houses want to give me expensive because nobody knows you. So all the challenges of you learning this and all the long hours and you wearing all the hats and not trusting anyone and this is all about myself and I'm doing this because I know better. Um, it was I end up overweight. I was angry all the time. And
Yeah.
honestly, yeah, I was making money because you can make money doing this. Yeah, don't get me wrong. But I was exhausted. I was tired. I was angry. My head was I'm getting overweight. But when I started to fight the first people, and they were all better than me at everything,
Yeah.
and it was kind of a process that I'm not somehow I become so happy that they were better than me. I'm asking to the guests, how you renting this room? How you doing this so amazing, so fast? It take me like 2 weeks. You doing it in a day. You show me
Yeah.
how you do that. So all of a sudden, I realized it was kind of by accident because I couldn't operate anymore by myself. Honestly, I couldn't. I was exhausted. I couldn't operate anymore, so I have no choice to hire the people, and that make a huge difference in my life, and I start to be proud of them. I start to give them the significance to them. I start to give them control to the business to the point that one day I arrived to the business and they told me, Harry, go home, we don't need you. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? What do you mean? They say we can run this without you. In fact, you only coming here to talk to us because you have nothing to do and you don't let us produce. That was so the that transition, James. Um, when you are in your point of your life that you don't have to prove anything to anyone, all these weight get released and then you can be a big impact for change. This is why we do this broadcast in the first place. I think that if only one person is listening to this conversation and they are suffering, they are stuck, probably after we finish this broadcast they will switch off the phone
Yeah.
and gonna spend time with the family, and they will appreciate what they need to be grateful for. And the business is not about us, it's not about Harry. It's not about James. Is a purpose out there. Is what impact can we do for the people out there? How can we make the life better of them? And the way that they contribute, the money is just. I always say this like when you see people. When I see people playing in music in the metro there in London, yeah, I always give them money. Why? Because I want the music to continue. I want to support that person. So it's the same thing. Your clients buying your product, that's supporting your vision, supporting your mission, supporting. They want you. They want you to keep playing the music. That's why they're buying your product. And so it's all about the clients, it's not about you.
Yeah.
It's all about how can you set them better. What can you be a service for them? And if you think that business is about you arriving in your big car to the office, in movies you see that
Yeah.
you see the big boss arriving with the big car to the
Yeah.
office. Everybody, hello, big boss, blah blah blah. You see this in the movies, and then people go in business and thinking that this is how business operate, and it's completely different dynamic. It's you are at service of everyone, of your clients, of your team. You have to be at service of all of them in order for you to create an impact on there. And but then, James, where do you learn all this? Because
So
they certainly they didn't teach you this in the school.
I
Uh,
think
so where?
I think the important thing is to look at, again, I like to go to history and I like to go to tradition. Again, being a devout Christian, I go to the Bible and I reference God. And one thing I remember reading in the Bible was, Jesus was he took fishermen to become fisher of men. He changed and men from being fishermen to disciples. And one thing I look at with business and with leadership is that I'm not here to just cast a singular vision. What I'm here to do is be a vision caster. So allow people inside of my organization to cast the vision simultaneously alongside that of my own. I think a lot of the time we think that as the employer, as the owner, as the CEO, the boss, all those fancy titles we love to say ourselves, CEO and general manager and director and co-founder and blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. I think we sometimes get lost in the sauce a little bit and get too much in our own ego. Versus your role is to have an organization of leaders. So leaders create other leaders. Leaders do not create followers. One thing I really, reference is, how can I be a vision caster? How can I really know the vision of the people in which I'm bringing into my organization? We have people in our team that are, day one and, year seven. I've had some of my team for 7 years with me. Some of my guys are day one. And I've had the message from some of my team, and it was the most gratifying thing to hear this from, nearly every single person. And it's not just because I'm the boss; they generally believe it. They have this time where they'll say for a mala, and like they'll be doing something and they'll say for a mala, and like we had a lady start about 2 weeks ago, and she said, I'm like, oh, just finish up. Like we have Slack, which is an operating system that we use, and I was like, hey, it's too late. She's in the Philippines. I'm like, it's too late. Why were you awake at midnight? She goes, I had to get this project done. I'm like, why were you doing that? Everyone else was asleep. She goes, for a mala, for a mala, for a mala. And I was like,
Wow, really
that to
powerful.
me realized the power of casting a vision. And I said to her, I'm like, hey, are you free tomorrow? And she thought she was in trouble. And I said, no, you're not in trouble. I said, like, can we just have a call? And I said, I just want to honor you so much in that moment. She's like, why are you taking the time to have a Zoom with me? And I said, I want to honor you and thank you for your commitment to Amala. And I said, what's your vision alongside what we do? And she's in our accounts team. And she goes, I really want to, have my own accounting business. And I said, well, why don't I do this? I said, I'll buy you the website. If you'd like, you can fly under the Amala umbrella. You can use our systems, our website developers, our team. And I said, why don't we make a branch called Amala Bookkeeping? And she goes, you would do that for
Wow,
me? And then I literally created a
wow,
business, one of my team inside of our business. And last week we onboarded 5 new clients for her. And she basically broke down
wow,
in tears. So,
wow.
but I look at business like that as an opportunity. And I know that customer loyalty is one thing, to have really loyal customers and a loyal fan base. But as a boss, as an employer, I hate the word boss. Like when my team calls me boss, I'm like, stop calling me boss. I'm like, how
Mm,
can I how can I have a loyal team, but not for them to be like, you're the boss, like you said, driving up in the big car and look at how great James is. But how can they know that I have the respect for them and they have the respect for me, but also we have each other's back? And that's, I think, a thing a lot of the time. I see time and time again, entrepreneurs make the mistake. They cast only their vision. They only
mm,
see it through their lens. But just imagine this. Imagine this. They say that the sun is a cluster of stars. They say that potentially the sun is, the brightness of an explosion of a massive, massive star. Imagine bringing all these lights and all these stars together, the amplification of the business, if everybody has a vision and a light
mm.
versus just a singular lamp, which is your vision. Brick collective, all of these together. Imagine what that's going to do for your company. So if you're listening to this, be a vision caster. I want to encourage you to drop the title of visionary, because visionary is singular. Don't be a visionary.
Absolutely.
As Russell Brunson said that. I remember watching this training from Russell Brunson. He said, "Don't be a pioneer, because the only thing that pioneers end up with is arrows in their back. So don't be a visionary, because the only person that's a visionary is on their own. It's singular. Be a vision caster. Bring people together. Create a community. Create people in your organization, and I guarantee you'll go a lot further."
Yeah, and then James, and I think that I remember when I started to employ the team. Yeah, uh, I didn't want them to uh, to get me out. You see, the team after they go to work, they go for a beer, they go for a drink, and I'm thinking behind my desk, and I'm like, no way that they're gonna let me out because I'm the boss. You know what I mean? I have to do whatever it takes. This organization that all the employees go and work, and they no, 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 the boss don't call the boss. So I didn't want to be out of this group. No way. So inside the organization, you see, I release control. I did whatever it takes one more of them, exactly with that respect that you describe. I have a big respect for them. They have a big respect for me. But inside my mind, I didn't want I didn't want them to let me out. I'm like crazy. I'm thinking, is these people after work they're gonna go there and have fun and they're not gonna call me? I had to do. I'm one of them. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I always operate. Like that. I'm thinking they are coming to work here to support my vision or to support what we want to do with this company, and they are to enroll with this. So what do I need to surrender? What do I need to let go in order to this don't becomes a thing? I'm the big boss and you do what I said. Again, what you said, CEO, founder, whatever, we put titles and everything, and this is all feeding the ego, the entrepreneur, whether the other our real mission is to sit in the back seat and to touch, move, and inspire the people that we bring on the organization. Because at the end of the day, we are responsible, and sometimes we do the most we can, right? Because I always say, sometimes I don't know if somebody make a mistake hiring someone, it doesn't really matter. Once they are inside the organization, we are responsible. So we try to do the best that we can to give them the training and to align with the vision and the mission to try the best that we can to see if we can make the most out of these employees intent what we're trying to achieve. Sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't, to be honest with you. So it's more about, and what I'm very impressed about this story that you talk about, your employees in Philippines. We employ a lot of people in Philippines. We've been doing it for years. They're amazing, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Oh, they're fantastic. We employ a lot of people. But the whole point is that this woman, she was working because she got the mission. She aligned her values and the mission out of the company, so the embrace it so like it was her own.
Mm.
That's why you have this type of performance. And for my employees from Philippines, I got the same thing. You see, sometimes you find them working on Sundays. You find them working because they want. As when we are doing research or creating a CRM or creating a new product, that's so cut into the whole thing that we're doing that you find them working on the weekends. That is very hard for them because they're also very Catholic over there. They need to go to church
Yeah.
and like this, and over there they have their own challenges. The power cut and it's very hot,
Mm.
and so they have their own challenges over there. So at the end of the day, when you align the team, the people that come to your organization, and they are aligned with the core values and they become part of the culture of this organization. Again, I have employees from Philippines. Our IT director have been with us for 9 years. And I
Yeah.
always ask him, why you don't go out and find another job? They can even pay you more money. And they always telling me, Harry, we love to work with you and we're happy with the money that we get it. So it's okay. And
Yeah.
they still hanging around for years. So you can see that the mission, they are in love. They love to work with you because you don't treat them like you have to do this, and they're not working for you. They're working with you,
Exactly.
and but for that you need to live yourself, James. You need to let go this. I'm a big shot here and a big whatever. Make things happen without me, anybody. So that wrong approach that because we don't know any better, we all been there because we all start the business at some point, and as soon as we make few bucks, we think that we are the big deal. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
yeah. And we all have our moment of ego, and then you go there and you buy a car and the big house or the whatever, and you have this that you think that you're a big shot. And I got a hard lesson with this in the business. You see, at the beginning I was this with this ego that I'm the best and the whatever. Then I opened a restaurant and lost 200,000 pounds. He told me that I thought that was a big deal in business, and and this experience told me that I didn't know nothing about business,
Mm.
and that also brings me down to realizing that, hey, this is not an ego thing. This is you have to pay attention and what is the impact that you want to create for others. So James, if someone is in love with you, our conversation, and want to know more about how you can help out. I know you own a lot of companies, so can you tell us how people can have access to you, to your team, how this process works? Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
One thing I would say is, if you're happy to connect with Instagram, I am obviously a digital entrepreneur, so I own a digital marketing school. Everyone's always like LinkedIn. For me, I deal with a lot of business to consumer, having a digital marketing school and then B2B as well.
Oh my God,
Instagram,
business to
so,
consumer is hard. Yeah, B2C. Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah. So I do so obviously Instagram's the main one. So at James Wellington official. So just my first name, last name, and official. I'm pretty active myself. So you'll either get one on my team or most likely me. Everyone thinks I'm crazy for that, but I'm like, who am I to not talk to people if they want to talk to me? Again, it's the humility piece, you know. So yeah, James Wellington official, or you can literally Google www.amalafinance.com.au. You can come through there. We have a lot of great free resources. We offer free funding for your clients, so you don't have to pay any establishment fee. We also can offer, a business solution. So we have pre-built CRMs for anyone that is, sub $1 million per annum. I've had my CRM and tech team build out go high level templates inside of our finance application portal. And for 97 a month, you can get sales scripting, marketing campaigns, access to our mastermind, all those fun things. So
Wow.
www.amalfinance.com.au. Again, we built that CRM with the intention to be able to do more good for more people. We currently have over 1,000 active referral partners on that. We've got a webinar next week with another, I think, 2,000 people registered. That's one of the platforms. We've got another platform with 3,000 people registered. So
Wow, for the
yeah,
webinars. My
for
goodness.
the webinars. Yeah, I do a lot of webinars, Harry, and for anyone listening. So if you see me on James Wellington Official or Google Amala Finance, you'll definitely see us.
What the
We just
webinars are about?
We've got webinars in relation to business growth and scalability, marketing, sales training. I have my own sales academy. We specialize in done for you marketing and sales services. As I mentioned, we work alongside Dr. Joe Vitale, Brian Tracy, William Whitecloud, Philip Kotler. We're in communication with currently at the moment Robbie Kiyosaki and Kim Kiyosaki. So we're definitely in the right circle, working with the right people. And we do a lot of marketing and sales for those that I've just mentioned. So we genuinely just want to do good business with good people. So if you're a coach, consultant, course creator, or any business really, let us know. Reach out. We have the marketing and systems for you. Our main business that we actually run is a new program at the moment called Profit for a Purpose, and we're helping businesses scale from zero to $1 million in 9 months. That's
Wow.
generally about how long it takes us. But yeah, if you're a coach, consultant, or looking for that, we can definitely help you with zero to $1 million in 9 months with our done for you marketing and sales team. So it's
Hey,
fun.
there you go. To get the product market fit, the biggest challenge that entrepreneurs have out there is exactly this. To get the product market fit, to go from zero to one, and I think James, you definitely can help the entrepreneurs with that. That would be fantastic. But last word that you have that I have for you, James. Last question is regarding to coaching, because entrepreneurs sometimes have the wrong approach that they have to do it themselves, whether having a coach and a mentor can make a huge difference in your life. In this podcast, it came one guy. I always tell the story. He has 42 exits, yeah, and he told me, Harry, I'm now in the property business, and I'm yeah. See, and this I told him, really, yeah. So and he told me, I'm doing very well. I'm doing it for 2 years, and I have a multi-million pound portfolio now. And I asked him, but how you did it? And he told me, okay, Harry, I find a mentor in this area, a coach. I paid them a lot of money. He told me how to do it. Then I learned, and this is this is how I'm doing it. So you can understand someone with 42 exits all over plus a million have a deep understanding of business, how to run a business, how to grow a business. And on top of that, he didn't do the property thing himself. He find a mentor, a coach that told him the dynamic, the specific of this type of business. And after he learned everything, he went out and implement, which is actually very good doing that and growing. And now probably he has more stock than his own coach. So the whole
Mm.
point is why do you think that out there is so much resistance to mentoring or coaching? Entrepreneur think that you go in there to tell them what to do. Still, they have the big ego that they think that they can do everything by themselves. Why do you think that is so much resistance from mentoring and coaching out there? Whether and then you see successful people that they are really successful, that when they want to achieve a goal, they make sure that they find the right coach, the right mentor to work with it and to get the success faster. What do you
I
think?
think the resistance comes from the level in which the individual's at. So it's like the resistance to getting a mentor. If you're struggling to sell your services as a coach or consultant, it generally means that the way in which you're selling your services is not appealing to the market. So therefore, the resistance comes because they lack belief in you. So if someone's listening to me right now and they do the research on me and they have a conversation with me, I'm my authentic self the entire way through. I think the way to portray yourself as a coach and get a lot of clients is to just be yourself. I always like to say to people, this is who I am and this is what I do. I'm not here to be your savior or your salvation. That's the Lord Christ. That's God. I'm here to be someone that'll point out blind spots to you that you may not have seen. I'm here to bring an objective reality to something that you may not have saw yourself. And I'm here to help you to stop being subjective and help to pull you forward. That's what I'm here to do. But I think a lot of coaches, consultants that may be finding resistance in the coaching consulting space is they have too much of their own identity attached to being like the salvation and the this. It's like you can actually just be a really good person and have a lot of people you work with because you've done something they haven't. And I'll say that again as well. Do the thing before you go and teach the thing. So don't
Yeah,
become a coach. Anyone listening to this and you're going to start a coaching business to help people get to $1 million, please go and make $1 million before you teach $1 million. Don't just make six figures and then sell 1 million. And I love everyone that's listening to this, but it's too much in the industry. And that's what's creating resistance because people are like, can you show me your $1 million business? Can you show me your $1 million portfolio? You can't sell a fake vision. You have to have achieved it and pull people forward. So that definitely, I believe, Harry, will minimize the resistance if you are that person. Like, I'll give an example. Like, if if you go to a gym and you see an extremely fit, healthy, athletic build personal trainer, and they're there and they go, hey, would you like to work with me? And you see they're a living example of the body type that you want versus the overweight, sad, depressed, lazy trainer, and they go, hey, work with me. You can tell who's done the work and has the body and has the physique and has the training versus the person that's like, I'll be your coach, I'll help you. So I definitely think it's become the person before selling the concept of you being the person. So hopefully
and
that answers that resistance.
yeah, and in the end of the day, I think that this is you have to become very good to hiding your own coach because that's the other thing as well that you can see a lot of confidence there and a lot of people talking about how to make a million, but it just the only thing that's gonna take is somebody sitting in the audience that actually have made the million, because that
Yeah.
person will know, and they might raise their hand and ask you a question, and if you haven't made a million, you won't be able to answer it. So
Mm.
let's coming back to be authentic. If and and try to become, and also there is mentors and coaches for everything. Maybe you
Mm.
need a mentor to go from 0 to 100,000, and well, if this is something that you have done, that you can help people to achieve that, that's fine. So find the coach or the mentor in the state that you are at the moment, and that resonate, that have the same values that you have, but also check that they can actually have a business experience, have failures. You see, open about the fail, the have the what we call it the skill. Being an entrepreneur is skill based. The more you practice, the better
Yeah,
you become. So the fact that you have a set of several businesses is already demonstrate that you you have developed the skill of being an entrepreneur, and when you have this skill, you can apply this skill to the same to different business. However, this skill is the more you practice, the better you become. It doesn't everything doesn't work out at the first time. You have to fail fast and cheap if you can.
exactly.
Uh, repurpose until you get there. So James, thank you so much. These have been conversation have been very powerful. You made my day today. I will strongly advise to everyone listening to listen it twice. So if you can listen it twice, maybe you can get to the bottom of what we discussed today. I think we make a huge difference in your life and also in your business. To you, James, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure joining from
Thank you so
Australia.
much.
Yay! Thanks God, we need more people from Australia because a lot of people coming from US. So we need more of people from Australia and UK. So well done for showing up. And for all of you following this broadcast, see you now on next episode of On Stop of How Brave Entrepreneurs Like James break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.